Hi, I'm Alyssa Cobb. Come fly with AOPA. I hope you're all having a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. Well, this week we whisk you away to Alpine Air Park in Wyoming, what might be the ultimate residential air park.
It's a beautiful place. It's a dream come true to live here, and it's our happy place for sure.
And how could you not be happy living here at the Alpine Air Park in Wyoming?
Well, I love to fly fish. I've got a drift boat and love to go out in the river, and we've mostly fished the Salt River. It's just tranquil and beautiful and wonderful. But there's 3-4 rivers here. We can fish the Snake. There's the Green. So there's lots of really beautiful space here. We love to kayak, bike ride. There's almost too much to do. Where you sit there and you almost get paralyzed. Like, what should we do?
And we should mention that you have your airplane next to you and a 5,800-foot runway just a short taxi away. And then you can fly through some of the most spectacular scenery in the western U.S.
There's something about being able to look out your window and see your aircraft, and also at any time that you feel like it, you're able to fly. Sometimes it's just to go to have a $100 hamburger. A lot of times we will go down and fly the Idaho backcountry with it.
Idaho is a little over 30 nautical miles away. Jackson Hole and the Tetons even closer.
The Tetons are amazing. And what is even more amazing is the Wind River range is every bit as good or better. and up the Grays, where you've got the Wyoming and the Salt, there's spectacular places. It's all accessible.
And it is beautiful at any time of the year.
Winters here are magical. It's one of those places that everybody that's local, they're all excited because there's so many different things to do. The whole buzz is, what are you doing this weekend?
This residential air park is truly a playground for grown-ups.
I've been into a lot of places. I've flown into a lot of different places. I've been to a lot of air parks. And I've never been to one that equals this place here.
AOPA senior photographer David Tulis has flown into Alpine Air Park, and he's also done lots of exploring around the Jackson Hole and Alpine areas. And David, thanks for joining me.
Glad to be here, Alyssa, and a happy Thanksgiving weekend to you, your family, and all of our viewers.
Yeah, thanks, David. Same to you. Okay, give us the inside scoop. What's it like flying into the air park?
You know, it is just beautiful. It's breathtaking. You fly in through the Palisades Reservoir, and the backdrop basically is part of the Grand Teton mountain range. It could not be more spectacular. You know, the Grand Teton is 13,775 feet of snow and ice, even in the summertime. And I've climbed it a couple of times and I can attest to it. But it's a beautiful place to be. The airport itself is sometimes a reliever airport to the Jackson Commercial Airport about 10-15 miles away.
Okay, so pilots know they'll be welcome to fly in there. So since you spent time there, what is it that we need to do if we ever make it out that way?
Well, if you're an outdoor enthusiast, you have a myriad choices. You can go hunting, skiing, canoeing, kayaking, that kind of thing. I prefer climbing, and I climbed that Grand Teton, but I've also climbed through Cascade Canyon and Paintbrush Divide in the Teton National Park area, and it's beautiful as well. You know, Ansel Adams, the famous photographer, made a beautiful photo overlooking the Snake River as it enters into the Tetons. It's a very famous picture. So if you're photo oriented, it's got great visuals. And you know, the downtown area of Jackson, which is just like I said, a stone's throw away from Alpine, has a real unique downtown square with antlers that are on display. They're collected as they're discarded from the animals. And also, you got to stop at the $1 Million Cowboy Bar where you sit on a saddle.
Okay, well, thanks for those tips, David. I'm going to have to add Alpine and Jackson Hole on my bucket list to fly out to someday.
Sounds good. I hope to see you there.
All right, we'll talk to you later. Well, here's an early Christmas present for about 50,000 pilots who are flying under BasicMed. The FAA has issued a final rule that's going to go into effect on December 22nd that's going to allow you to act as safety pilot on a flight. And I know that's something that pilots flying under BasicMed has wanted for a long time. It's something that AOPA has supported and advocated for. Now, this final rule also did a few other things, and one of those is to require balloon pilots who are operating for compensation, except for providing flight training, to hold a second-class medical certificate. So you can read more about all the details of this great rule down at the link in the description below. Well, we have more good news. This time it's for aircraft owners. So the FAA has issued another rule. This one's going to go into effect on January 23rd, and it's going to extend the duration of our aircraft registration certificates from 3 years to 7 years. This is something that AOPA and others have been advocating for 4 years, and that's because aircraft owners have had really long and frustrating delays getting their certification back. The FAA currently has a backlog of 180 days. So here's how it's going to work. As of January 23rd, if your aircraft registration is current, then it's going to automatically be extended to whatever that 7-year mark is for your particular case. Now, if the registration is expired, this doesn't apply. You're going to have to, start over and get that. But overall, it's some pretty good news. Well, the next time you go flying, be sure to do a belly check. AOPA Senior Vice President of the Air Safety Institute, Richard McSpadden, takes us along on a flight and shows us how to do the belly check in this last installment of our collision avoidance series.
The idea around a belly check is you just don't want to ever find yourself in an extended turn where you're going belly up to potential traffic for a long period of time. So every 90 degrees as a minimum, as you're in these long turns, roll out and check the direction that you're about to go belly up to. And the classic example is when you're on base, right? And so when you're on base and you're getting ready to go final, you're about to go belly up to a pretty high area of conflict in a pattern. So a high percentage of mid-airs happen with an aircraft on final.
Now as we get about to go turn final, this is a really critical area. We're looking out in front of us, and before I turn and go belly up, I'm checking to check that place where I can't see, where my high wing, it looks clear, and now I can go ahead and make my turn and glance back.
And it's real key here that you actually expect to see something. We have this expectation bias as humans where we will see what we want to see and see what we expect to see. So if we come in wanting to see a clear final and expecting to see a clear final, that's what we'll see, even if there's traffic there. So as you do that check on final, look over there expecting to see traffic, expecting that there is someone there. And then once you clear that area, now you can turn final and go belly up as you turn final for your final approach. And that's why it's called a belly check, because you're going belly up to an area of potential conflict.
Hi, Richard. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Alyssa. Happy to. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving to you too. So, quick question. Is this applicable, the belly check, just in the pattern, or are there other phases of flight? When should pilots be doing this?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's really applicable anywhere where you're doing VFR maneuvering and you can expect other traffic. So it's really kind of a rhythm that you want to get into, that anytime you find yourself in a bank for an extended period of time, it's kind of like an instrument cross-check where the hair goes up on the back of your neck. You think, I've been staring at this too long. The same thing, anytime you're in a bank for a long time, regardless of the arena, typically some type of VFR maneuvering, then you just want to get in the habit of rolling out every now and then and checking that flight path that you're about to occupy, that piece of sky you're about to occupy, and make sure nobody's in it or about to enter it.
Okay, so similar along the lines of, when you have a prolonged climb, just lowering the nose every so often to look over and make sure, nobody's snuck in there.
Yeah, exactly right. It's just a cadence and a rhythm that you want to get yourself into.
Okay, and how critical is it that pilots really start adopting this on every flight that they do?
Yeah, I find that on just about every VFR flight I do, I'm doing some version of that belly check, some version of I've been in a turn for a long period of time, my internal rhythm and my internal clock says time to roll out and check the flight path, check the airspace I'm about to occupy, and make sure nobody else is coming in to occupy the same piece of airspace. So just about every VFR flight that I do, I find that I do it for one reason or another.
Well, thanks, Richard. I appreciate all the advice that you've given us actually over the last 4 weeks with this collision avoidance series, and I know it's going to help make all of us better, safer VFR pilots.
Yeah, I hope so. And we've certainly seen in the last couple of weeks how devastating it can be when, for whatever reason, we're unable or we don't clear our flight path. And sometimes just a simple check, sometimes that can make all the difference.
That's right. All right. Thanks, Richard.
Thanks, Alyssa.
Well, there's a new Archer aircraft, an Archer Aviation eVTOL that is, and it's called Midnight. So this 4-passenger electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft is piloted, and it has 12 rotors, 6 of them tilting mounted on the wing. Now, it's expected to have a payload over 1,000 pounds, fly at speeds up to 150 miles per hour, and be able to fly back-to-back 20-mile trips while only taking 10 minutes to charge in between. Now, it's designed to fly at an altitude around 2,000 feet, and at that altitude, the company claims that Midnight will be almost 1,000 times quieter than a helicopter. Well, we just hosted our last event of 2022, the AOPA Aviator Showcase in Fort Worth, Texas, and it was wonderful. We had more than 600 registered to attend and almost 60 exhibitors and nearly 24 aircraft on display. And what this event did was it really gave pilots and aircraft owners time to spend, one-on-one getting their questions answered by industry experts, whether it came to refurbishing their aircraft or safety seminars or even how to start the process of buying an aircraft. Well, if you've ever been to the U.S. Air Force Museum in Dayton, Ohio, you know that it is a must visit. If you haven't been there yet, get it on your list. What we're going to do today is take you behind the scenes to show you how they restore these impressive aircraft in the museum.
We're charged with preserving the aerospace artifacts of the Air Force. So whether that be a 1918 Curtiss JN4D or an F-22 Raptor, space items that we have in our collection. So we have to maintain all of those and keep them in a condition that looks like they're original, or looks like they have completed the mission that they're famous for. So it's just preserving history is basically what we're doing. It's fun to see how things you do your whole life, little random things, all kind of come together and work as one to be the career that I have now. It's you go through school, you learn math, you do all the normal classes. Once I got to college, my main focus was archaeology. And you think, how do all these random things fit together? Well, they really do. I went to A&P school, have an A&P license, so I'm kind of doing the archaeology of aviation, I guess, because you're bringing back these old things, finding out secrets about them, of how to restore them, and making them an artifact that will be in the museum and will be preserved for a really long time. So it kind of brings everything together. When we find out what airplane we're going to be restoring, my first step is to go down to our archives division, and I kind of collect everything that we possibly have about a certain airplane, so like a JN4D. I get all that information and I can start to sort through it and see what is going to be valuable for me. Usually the most valuable is period photographs, because those you can really kind of trust that that's what this airplane is supposed to be. Once we have the fabric off, we can start assessing what needs to be done, what can be saved. And at that point, we make up a list of what has to happen, and we just start doing it. If there are no original parts available that we can obtain or trade, then we have to manufacture those on our own. And we do that working off of original blueprints. You kind of have to take it day by day. You need to plan ahead a little bit, but it can be overwhelming if you're just starting out and you look at the whole scope of the project and you think, I have to do all this, and what a nightmare. But it's not. If you start to break it down part by part, you just work on the instrument panel, then the instrument panel's done. You work on the seat, then the seat's done. And before you know it, you have an airplane that looks like it would have when it came out of the factory. It means a lot because I'm able to take something that someone may view as old and deteriorated and junk, as garbage, and I'm able to save it and make it almost look brand new and keep it going. We are charged as the museum as having an artifact that will serve as a reference in the future to anyone who wants to come and research this airplane. So it's very important for us to maintain as much originality and have it the way it should have been, so that somebody in the future can look at it and know that that's the way it was supposed to be.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Fly with AOPA. As always, be sure to like and subscribe so you can stay up to date with all the videos coming out on our channel. And this week, we leave you with some precious video. It was submitted by Rusty Coonfield, taking his 9-year-old cousin up for his first flight. Well, be sure to send in your favorite flying videos at the link in the description. You just might see them on an upcoming show. And as always, if you're not already an AOPA pilot, we'd love for you to join us. Just click the link at the end of the video to learn more. We'll see you next week.